the Rawsome Truth. Today I want to talk to you about a subject that has made it into the media, veganism, the vegan diet's under fire yet again. A young baby at 7 months old has died, and the headlines of the article are "A vegan diet kills the baby." Now, when you read something like this, automatically something like this really fuels my fire. It fuels my fire because most people just flick through things, as things go through your news feed on Facebook, and I'm sure plenty of meat eaters, I'm sure it's probably being shared by people, the meat industries, the dairy industries and everything else, and it's being shared. And people automatically think, oh my goodness, the vegan diet's dangerous. Now, this particular couple, they owned a health food shop, and they had a 7-month-old baby who was severely malnutrition, and by the time the authorities found this baby was, at 7 months old, I've got it written down here because my memory's not that good, was 9 pounds, which is 4.08 kilograms. So that's tiny. Like, newborn babies are about that weight, just a little bit under. A bigger baby would be that at weight. So you can imagine at 7 months, this baby's really small. In fact, they said that the baby was 7 pounds underweight for the age group. So 7-month-old baby dies of a vegan diet. Now, this actually really, not the baby dying, it's terrible, and I don't wish that on absolutely anybody. But how can we blame a vegan diet? A baby at 7 months old should either be on their mother's breast milk or an alternative formula. They shouldn't be looking at having any other milks, any almond milks or coconut milks or anything else, commercial-based milks, because it won't have the carbohydrate, protein and fat ratio that is needed for a baby to thrive within the first 12 months. They need a certain amount of nutrients in order to grow. The biggest time a baby ever grows in their lives is in the first 12 months. So to blame it on a vegan diet, to me, is just ludicrous. Now, generally babies from about 4 to 5 months, most people start weaning their babies onto food, which they don't necessarily need, because they don't even have their molars. Until babies have their molars, whilst they're on their mother's breast, there's really no time that they need to be weaned onto food. However, big companies like Heinz, Heinz baby food, they advocate from 4 months, and they've got a lot of control over dietary boards. So from about 4 months old, people start trying to wean their food on their baby onto food. Now, let's look at the foods that you would wean your baby on. Now, I know when I weaned my young children onto food, the first food that I ever gave them was fruit. So I can remember I pureed up some apples, and I was feeding my young son Jacob at 4 months old apple. So vegan food. I wasn't a vegan then, but it was vegan. The next thing that you generally start to wean your children onto is a rice cereal or a Farrix or whatever it's called. Still vegan. From 6 months of age, that's the age where it's recommended that you start introducing your child to animal products. And obviously, vegans do not eat animal products, but of course, it is what it is. That's the world we live in. But if you were weaning your children onto beans, legumes, lentils, tofu, tempeh, foods like that, or even if they were still just having rice and cereal, they would get, and fruit and vegetables, they would be getting all that they needed, along with their mother's breast or a plant-based baby formula. So they would get all they need. There is no need for the baby to be deficient. So let's look at the parents. Now, I hate to put any blame on anybody because that's not right, and I'm not going to do that, but the judge has convicted them and giving them a 6-month suspended sentence. A suspended sentence meaning they won't be jailed, but if they breach whatever they're on, then they will be jailed for 6 months. Now let's have a look at them. They were feeding the baby rice milk, quinoa milk, no baby formula. They obviously weren't giving the baby breast, and they obviously weren't giving the child enough food. So a regular parent, and I mean, look, deaths happen all the time. People who follow an omnivore diet have had children die of malnutrition because they haven't fed their children. So it's got nothing to do with a vegan diet. It's got to do with what the parents were feeding this poor child, which it seems to be next to nothing. A vegan diet is a plant-based, whole food plant-based vegan diet is very healthy. It is recommended by the World Health Association as the healthiest diet to man. In fact, in 2014, they came out and said red meat and processed meat is possibly carcinogenic. Now, let's just say this family lived on red meat and carcinogenic processed meats, and they didn't feed their child properly. Would the headlines come out and be, parents killed their baby on a meat eater's diet? No. It's always, yet again, the vegan diet under fire. There are many, many, many people raising their children on vegan diets. One of my closest friends, she is raising her baby on a vegan diet, and she is thriving. She had a vegan pregnancy and a vegan diet now for her baby, and her baby is beautiful and healthy. Now look at people like Ellen Fisher. She's been raising her children throughout the camera, like it's all on camera, you can see, and her children thrive because she's feeding her children healthy, nutritious foods. I have another girlfriend who I run my raw group with. She has a healthy baby who she raised as a raw vegan. Her child is getting more than enough. So it's not the vegan